Welcome back to Yeti episode 59. Be forewarned that I am functioning at an incredibly low level right now. The sickness that I was encountering that I mentioned in the last episode has gotten quite a bit worse. And I'm really struggling to hang in there, but it's my recording day for this episode to be out tomorrow. Happy Halloween. We'll see how far I can get. I'm probably going to have to cut this one a bit shorter than normal. But let's open with a follow-up to something I discovered right at the end of the last episode of Caja Rural suddenly picking up a massive haul of points. And I put two and two together, figuring out, Spanish team, La Vuelta, just finished up the day before, right? Well, here's that confirmation. Abel Balderstone. 28 years old, obviously real life guy here, and his current rating, 5-star guy overall, 77 mountain, 82 medium mountain, and a 76 hills. Not a good time trialist, but he's got the stamina, and he's very strong at medium mountains, and this is a La Vuelta that ended up favoring that profile. He finished second overall, 2.5 minutes behind Van Wilder, and when you look at the other riders around him, you can start to see how, Van Wilder's stronger. But with Trago, similar, weaker in medium mountains, weaker stamina. Almeida, better pure climber, race that really favored medium mountain over mountain. Rodriguez, same. Steinhauser, puncher, in 6th, right? Gregoire, a medium mountain / punchy guy, getting 7th overall. Carr, pure climber. So, not a very deep field is the first absolute reason. Now, you would think McNulty, if we're talking about Balderstone and how he is shaped, McNulty should have been able to do that and better. But he's on Visma. He probably was not the leader. And was Steinhauser? I mean, we don't know. But they probably had a leadership issue and didn't necessarily put McNulty in for GC. He just happened to have the right profile, probably didn't have the objective, didn't have the leadership role. He cruised his way to a top 10 anyway. But when we look at stages, you're going to see why this favored Balderstone. 1, not a good time trialist, but stage 1 was a team time trial. Stage 3, proper mountain stage, and he's nowhere to be seen in the top of the standings. By this point, he would have been a ways behind. Stage 6 was another proper mountain stage, and he's still nowhere to be seen. So through the first, right about a week of racing, he was a non-factor. Everything's going to start to flip its head beginning with stage 8. Not on the podium. It's only a 4th place, but it's a medium mountain profile where he excels. So he follows it up on stage 9 with a medium mountain victory. After an individual time trial on 10, probably would have seen him a ways behind at this point. Not too far actually, but stage 11, another medium mountain and another victory, and suddenly he's starting to factor in. In fact, if we go back to the time trial, Balderstone at this point is somehow 6th place. We've seen him win one stage and finish 4th on one stage, and yet he's already a factor. He was nowhere near the top of the rankings at any other point. But suddenly by stage 13, you can tell he's on a fitness peak, and he's KOM lead, so that means he was fighting to get into breakaways, and he's benefited from that here, hanging on to finish 4th on a mountain stage. Amazingly, by stage 8, but he still only loses 16 seconds, finishing 8th place on a proper mountain stage, not losing any significant chunk of time, that he's able to follow up with yet another win on stage 16 on a classified medium mountain that looks like it should be more of a hills. But 5K, 8.5%, I mean, I can see how that's just making medium mountain qualification. Proper mountain stage on 17. But again, the gaps are super close. The field's not spread. Nobody is attacking the whole group and taking chunks of time away from them. Abel Balderstone loses 8 seconds is all. 18, another medium mountain, another victory. To cap it off, 20. This is a medium mountain stage? I mean, sure, the undulation is plenty, sprinters aren't going to be around for the finish on this one. I have a hard time calling that a medium mountain stage, and there's been multiple of that variety. With that quick sim, his profile just sets him up perfectly, and he goes and wins by 11 seconds again. Now he's back in the points classification and the KOM lead, and that was stage 20. So when stage 21 finishes with a sprint, Balderstone all the way up in second place, winning the points, winning the King of the Mountains, and his team takes third in the team classification. I mean, utter madness for a team that had done nothing all season. So for this episode, we're in Luxembourg, and it's a 5-stage race, and this is probably our biggest write-off of the entire season. Every race on our calendar, 2 Pro and above, every single one of them has at least one rider who's been given it as an objective. Well, this one meets the bare minimum requirement on that. Hallinan, the only guy. He's on a fitness peak. He's at a +3 on his expected. He drove -1 today. But a lot of the guys on the team for this one, a lot of them, are coming off of fitness peaks and objectives, and not this race being that one. So they are suffering penalties, which is giving, I think, 4 guys a -2 on their expected today. Not only have we drawn that consistently, Pickrell, but Zhu got a -2 actually. He's one of the neutral ones, but Pickrell matched his -2. Gutstein matched his -2. Grunland, I think, had a -1. And Derek G, -3. So we've had a really poor draw on top of what was already a poor expected draw. At the same time, this is the only stage that kind of matches the profile of the riders that are here. The next 3 stages, this is already stage 2. Stage 1 was a time trial. Stages 3, 4, and 5 are all punchy, and Derek G is the only one who's a little bit punchy, as we have 12K to go. So I'm going to set up a sprint train and do what we can, but expectations are low today with all these negatives, and I don't know if the profile of any of the last 3 stages will be suitable. So this is kind of the first big write-off of I don't expect to take very many points. So Gutstein's going to get things going. We're already down to 11 kilometers. There is the finish line, so it comes off of a gradual right-hander, and that'll be important to remember. We're going to hit a little hill here in just a moment. I'm going to get my words minced repeatedly today. It's going to be rough. It's already rough. And I've got basketball later. And today's the day that I've got to split varsity and JV. Gutstein got out front. Hallinan got off the wheel a little bit there, but we're down to 7.5K. Starting to gel up for the last of these guys. Derek G is just kind of getting the free toe, as there's still at least some hope. GC-wise, he's not bad as a time trialist, so even though I simmed it, he's still pretty well placed. 5.6K. Hallinan done. We're down to 2 lead-out riders, though, at 4.5K. We're over the top, though. It's going to start descending here in a moment, or at least when we take this right-hander. Grunland's already getting swallowed up. Pickrell to take over. Yeah, this is not looking good. 2K out. Okay, we've got to start sprinting. There's no chance to do much else if we get caught up, and I don't think Zhu's anywhere near that right-hand side that we wanted to be. Yep. This is the race to write off. Between all the race day condition stuff, there's stuff going on in this foggy brain here. It's really hard to stay on top of it. And, you know, we have Ackerman and Van Aert in the field. It's tough to beat them anyway. Stage 3, classified punchy and could be punchy, but it could come down to a sprint if handled correctly, appropriately. Just a 2-man breakaway that had a huge advantage earlier, though it's down to 3 minutes now. There were 3 additional riders that attacked about 50K ago. One by one, they got reeled back in. One of them here just moments ago, as we go into 4 classified short climbs that we've got to make sure we're holding position on. So I'm going to set up an 88 to try to maintain and make sure we don't drift back. especially with how quick they are. I would think there's going to be an acceleration at some point on one of these that's going to stretch the field rather rapidly and probably see some splits. It's not much to these climbs, but splits are entirely possible. 44k left. Today, much better draw. In fact, neutral. Exact 0. We've got a -3 for Gottstein, but we've got 4 riders with a +1 and 1 rider with a plus. One more rider with a -1. That is Hallinan. So it balances out perfectly. And it's going to give us a little bit better of a shot at having some sort of success today if I can keep my head in order as team director. 35k left. Those 2 riders are still 3 minutes out. High tempo. Strange because they didn't look to be that strong. Who the heck is out there? Let's get a look at who's there. Nah, those guys. Oh, okay, a 77 flat for Van Bell, but those guys are awfully weak. I think that gap could and should at some point here come down very rapidly. 28k. I'm just nervous that it's still 245. I mean, that's gonna give them a chance. Definitely gonna give them a chance. Penultimate climb. 1k from the summit. Okay, it looked like an initial stretch. There's definitely an acceleration at the front, but the AG2R rider's not riding too hard. And the front 2 have split. That just about seals it. And what did I say? There'd be splits in the field. Even at an 88, we had guys drift there. 22k left. Set a 90. Let's try to get back up in a position. G looking good, but I think we're going to be looking a lot better if we have sprinters around. 18k. I think we're going to wait for the top of the last climb here and then put our foot down, especially when the front 2 are right there. 1k from the top.
The breakaway is not to everybody's liking. The peloton has significantly increased
good acceleration,
speed.
but we're holding position a lot better this time. Only drifting just a little bit. Gottstein, Gel. Big acceleration at the top, which is what I wanted, but here we go. We're going to set it up. 5 riders, 12k. Alright, Gridland has no red bar, but he's got yellow, so we're going to use that to try to get him out front. So just push as hard as he can manage for a little bit here. Set a good tempo that's going to make it difficult. The finish, not really much of an uphill, but it's definitely not flat. Gridland gets a little recovery, makes it that much easier. We're now at 8k left. Hallinan will take over here shortly. There's your late attack.
And there's an attack at the front. He could go all the way.
95. Gridland follow. Shoe. G. Comes down to a sprint. Zhu's got it. If it comes down to being a little bit punchy, then G's the one in the better shape. 4.5k out of red bar, so Hallinan, we're going to do that same thing. It's going to hurt the tempo just a little bit. Pickrell's going to take over before 3k though. At 3.3. There we go. Start pushing on. 2.5. Starting to ramp up. Okay, 2k. Zhu. G can't handle the speed. G can't handle the speed, but McKellar. Oh, nope. Here comes the actual Van Arts and Zingles and, you know, Isidore, the favorite. Vashek, Gragowski. We're looking at 6th place, but this is going to shake up the GC as there's clear splits in the field. Zhu and Pickrell are right there as well, though, just behind G. 7th and 8th. 3 riders in the top 10 and could help set up a decent GC battle there, but I'd like to see G have gotten some separation because Zhu and Pickrell have a bunch of guys right behind them. Of course, punchy stage, but they don't give the gaps. 2 riders at the front get a gap, and then nothing else until after Castro at 25th. So GC-wise, Derek G's only made 18th, which means I'm not going to overplay that hand. Zhu and Pickerel also moving up, but there's 2 more punchy stages, and we're not really built for that. We might be done with this race unless the profiles on either of those next 2 look racy. I think this is now becoming less of what the team's capable of and more of what I'm capable of. I'm going to go ahead and use the quick sim button to finish up Luxembourg. It's not really suiting our team, and expectations are pretty low. Cracking the podium is going to be difficult. Separations not being given. We're not very well placed. This is our write-off race. That was a week to forget, and it has seen us slip to second. It's Archaea who got a good haul this time, and moving up, they're still slated for Continental Pro, right? 2nd or 3rd on the list for the coming season. So trying to catch back up to them will be a challenge, but certainly possible. Caja Rural not going anywhere further than what they already had done, but Intermarché, Samruk are there, but Samruk's too far back at this point. We are, I don't know what exact point hauls there are remaining on the season, but with Il Lombardia, the only big race that's left out there, we should be looking at a scenario favorable to secure a top 2. Here is the full calendar and what remains on the schedule, just so we can gauge what's really possible. For one thing, Cuba National Championships, Montez just secured the individual time trial, so he just picked up points for that. He's got a very good chance. There was only 2 riders of winning this one as well, so we're going to add in that 250 points this week just from the Cuban National Championships. And then we're looking, the main thing we need to look at is the category of the remaining races. World Championships does not apply team points, so we're okay there. On Kawi, we're going to be that's the next 2 pro race on the calendar. That's the next biggest race. We're looking at a 1-day pro race, another 1-day pro race, and then Liechtenstein and Taiwanese national championships. More chances to secure some pretty easy points. So there's a good range of Taiwanese riders, but we have the strongest by far, so we should do pretty well in points there. Paris Tour. So there's 3 1 pro races where other teams can pick up some points. It's certainly possible. We're looking at 2 more 1 pro races, so that's 5. And then we have Taihu Lake, 2 pro. So both of the last 2 pro races that are on the calendar, we are going to be a part of. Those are bigger opportunities than 1 pro races to secure points. We're going to need to make sure we do well for both, just in case, as things go. But we're looking at, 5? And then Il Lombardia. Yeah. Il Lombardia has a big chance, and I'm wondering if we can look at what teams are going to be present. We'll see in a second. Oh, there's another shoot, and it's a good farmer for points. It's Tour C. It's not as big of a haul, but Guangxi is still out there to wrap up the World Tour season. I did forget about that one. And in all, we're looking at 8 1 pro races. We're only going to be at 1 of them. But there's 2 pro races, 1 World Tour C race, and one major race to worry about. That's the big opportunity. Yes, there's our start list. Okay, so Archaea is going to be there. That's a threat. That's a big problem for us. Bentolet, best rider I've seen so far on their start list, though. They're taking a weak team. So outside of Bentolet, I don't see them securing very many points at Il Lombardia. It's going to give us a chance to close that gap on them. Intermarché is going to be there. And Jan Christen absolutely could feature, as is for Prost. Both of them could actually do pretty freaking well at that race and help Intermarché score a number of points. Our job's not done. Sam Rook has gotten an invite, and they've got August and Williams. They shouldn't feature too much. Andrew August might secure a little bit in terms of points, but nothing big. That's it for the threats there. No Caja Rural, so that's good on the one who's closest behind us at the moment. So the other farmable race in Guangxi, what do we have in terms of opposition here? Against Berman, not a threat. Intermarché is at both. They're going to be the ones to watch out for, but they don't seem to have much in terms of quality. Yeah, a bunch of just guys. Kind of guys that I'd bring to a race because that's what we have for our team. But guys on other teams don't do what we tend to do. And no other threats are going to be at that race. So, Intermarché is the one we need to watch our back for. Cajarel, I think we're going to stay ahead. And, of course, we have slipped that one spot. So try to get back above Arkea. And they'll have a chance at Il Lombardia to secure some points, but they don't look like they're going to be great. It could depend on how many 1-pros they pick up and how much success they have there. But I think there's still a pretty good chance that we're going to be okay. Intermarché is 800 points. No, not 800. 800 behind Arkea. They're only 400 behind us. Definitely closer. Definitely closer. We are facing some real threats, but we've only had a couple bad races all year, and that last one was very circumstantial. A lot of guys bouncing back. We're not 100% done with fitness peaks either. We've got objectives set for these last few races. Japan, I think, is going to be one of those where we should be pretty strong in the field, but we're going to want to take advantage of those 2 pros, of the stage race part, and get a good GC finish to get the points haul. Because a 2 pro is 200 overall, 100 for a top 4 finish. Oh, shoot. 1 pro's the same? Okay, a little disappointing to find out that 5 of those 6 races, the 1 pros are the same points haul as the 2 pros. There's just more stages involved to make that overall GC part happen. That's going to be a little bit challenging as, it creates some opportunities. But I do have 3 out of the 8 final pro races and neither of the 2 World Tour races. So out of 10 big opportunities, we're only going to be invited to 3 of them. Could be challenging, might not yet be a done deal, but looking at the list of teams, Intermarché is the only one behind us that feels possibly a threat. Arkea ahead of us, maybe a threat, but we don't know how many 1-pro races down the stretch they're going to be at, or whatever pro races they're going to be at. I'm not going to look through all of those one by one, but it's not a done deal yet. Not a done deal yet, and I should be stronger for those last 3 races than we were for this last one. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.